Hello, Christine. Jared Lamro here with Team Radiant, just giving you our lessons learned from this simulation. The first thing that we learned was our maintaining our forecast productivity. Um, that was huge for us. We didn't quite understand it in our practice simulations, but going into by the end of the practice simulations into the actual simulation and moving forward in the simulation, it became huge for us. The understanding that actually opened up on this, and understanding that when we forecasted, we didn't actually have to wait with our forecast until the end of our round and lose all that production before we actually went through and reforecasted, reran MRP, and did that. I mean, that became huge for us in our ability to maintain our productivity. Material hedging, we didn't get a huge opportunity to do material hedging. We do see the benefits of material hedging in that we did change the composition of some of our products a couple of times in there, and the excess products that were left over could be considered kind of material hedging. And we saw in our cost of goods sold with those materials that we were able to utilize that were left over, lowered the cost of goods sold. So if we would have been able to have done that earlier, I think it would have worked to our advantage, being able to purchase, those goods in large quantities and being able to keep those and hedge those until later rounds when the cost of those goods started going up. Knowing your customers, this became big for us after our conversations with you, Christine. Being able to go back over past data, see who was buying what products at what times, and being able to know those trends and utilize those trends to sell our products better. That was huge, a huge lesson for us, and one of the big things that ended up gaining our success at the end. Knowing our best-selling products, again, kind of a given on knowing our best-selling products, but knowing our best-selling products and launching that product at the right time, that became huge for us. After talking with you again there in round 6 and your suggestion to go back through, learn the customer, learn our product, learn which products are selling the best for us and when they're selling the best for us. We went back through and did all of that, figured out that our 1 kilogram products weren't selling until around day 20. So we were able to adjust our forecast for that, lower the forecast for our 1 kilogram product, raise our forecast for our 500 gram products, and be able to introduce those products properly at the right time. It's round 7 and 8, that became huge for us and became huge in our stepping up the ladder of our rankings again in that. So another big lesson learned on that one. Keeping our ending inventory low, that was big for us in the sense that in round 5, we realized that our inventory was the lowest at the end of that round, and our round productivity was the highest after we went back through the data. And because of that, we also saw that that was one of our best rounds as far as revenues go as well. And we realized after that if we could maintain that, just have enough inventory left over at the end of the round, like Dr. Smith kept preaching all along, just have enough material at the end of the round to carry you through those first few days until you're waiting for your next lot of inventory to come in, you're going to be that much better off. And I think that's where we kind of struggled. And one of the lessons we learned by the end of the simulation was if we could manage those materials better and make sure that we didn't have a huge allotment of those materials left over by the end of the round, it was going to bode well for us. Not changing our pricing so frequently, another thing that you suggested to us in round 6, that was huge for us. I think you were right in that, in the lesson in there being that if you're changing your pricing so often, you're going to drive customers away because of the lack of stability in your company. They're not going to see stability in your company because you're changing your prices, lowering them, raising them, doing all this stuff all the time, and we were doing it every hour. And by around 6 and 7, we realized that, stopped doing that, and the customers started coming back to us. It was huge for us. Not pricing below cost, that's obvious. Again, we did get close to that with our 1 kilogram strawberry, just trying to dump it off of our shelves, but we saw in round 3, because of that, it took a big hit for us because we were going through and we were pricing that so low. Our revenues went down, our net profits went down because of that, so we never did that again. Use of overall experience gained by the cash-to-cash cycle. Huge for us by the end of the simulation. Dr. Smith talked about the cash-to-cash cycle. We went through and we figured out how much material we had sitting on our shelves, when our money was going to be coming back from our sales, from our customers, and how much money we were expending on our raw materials. So, knowing our cash-to-cash cycle by the end of it helped us increase our revenues and increase our net profits. And that's, I think, what helped us as well start moving up the ladder, is knowing that cash-to-cash cycle and having a better grasp of what that was. So that was another huge lesson learned. And finally, frequently compare against our business plan. The meaning of that, the lesson that we learned in that, is knowing that when we start with a business plan and going through, the adaptability of the business plan needs to be there. We have to be able to adapt to the marketplace, be able to have our business plan in order, but be able to change that business plan as necessary as the time moves on, and figure out the strategies that we need to implement into that business plan to make it successful. Again, Christine, we want to thank you so much for the help that you gave us, especially in these past few weeks when we've had the opportunity to sit and talk with you so much and bounce ideas off you, hear your feedback. Dr. Smith, this was one of the best classes we've had. The information that we learned in here is going to be able to be carried with us in all of our business ventures from here forward. We appreciate the time and the help that you gave us, and we appreciate the opportunity of being in this class.